Today's Evening First Alert weather show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
And good Thursday evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Eastlick with your nightly weather update. Plenty to talk about tonight, but like last night, probably will be one of the quicker streams if we can help it, just because there's plenty to prepare for as we look towards our 10 and 11 o'clock newscast. But obviously a big story for tomorrow is going to be the cold temperatures that we've been talking about. Gosh, I would probably say we've been talking about these temperatures since Monday night. And the potential for some cold weather later this week. And here we are. We are finally to that cold weather. And so schools are making decisions tonight, and those schools are closing largely, it seems. And so let me see if I could pull just a list on our website for you really quick. If we can pull that up, let me see just one moment. It's a pretty substantial list, and so we're obviously not going to go through it completely, but if I pull this up, this is at the top of our website. You can clearly see that the list is extensive for tonight. And so I would say we're probably in a position where if your school is, we may as well just do a list of schools that are open for tomorrow. That's kind of the way things are headed for tonight. So students are getting a day off tomorrow, and it looks like we've got pretty much all closures at this point, but kind of like we talked about on the stream this week, it's just the fact that conditions are not really expected to improve all that much through the day tomorrow. We expect wind chills to be pretty commonly be between about 10 and 20 degrees below zero, and I think at times as low as about 25 to 30 degrees below zero, with frostbite times at least less than 30 minutes. But once you start getting down into that negative 30 range with some of those wind chills, that's when you're starting to talk about frostbite times that are a little bit closer to probably about 10 minutes or less. So the National Weather Service is using terms like dangerous cold. So they are also taking this seriously. That's why you have the cold weather advisories that are shaded in the light blue, but we also had an upgrade this afternoon to the areas that are now in the extreme cold warning. And so I think it's the areas that are in the warning that are a little bit farther inland towards US 127, especially, that I think have some of the best chances to get down to that 30 below type range. But I think 25 degrees below zero is probably attainable for just about everybody. It may not be that way the whole time, but I certainly think that's in the realm of possibility for most of Mid-Michigan, and that's why we have these advisories. So wind chills right now, not terrible. It seems like we're at about 3 below in Bay City and at MBS. We've got about 6 below in Houghton Lake and West Branch. Actually, that's 8 below in Houghton Lake. Some of those numbers are a little tough for me to read. But we're working our way in that direction. And we also have, in addition to that, just some scattered lake effect snow once again. Seems like we've got some decent snow showers currently working their way through the Flint area at the moment. And maybe not downtown Flint directly. But we can check our camera there just to see what things look like in downtown Flint. Fresh coating of snow on some of the bricks. Some of those areas got some lake effects early this morning. And we talked about how some of those areas could pick up about an inch or two of snow as sort of a higher area with snow. Well, it turned out to be the case. Those areas got more snow than everybody else, but instead of 2 inches being the cap, they got about 2.5, maybe even 3. I think the report out of Grand Blanc was about 2.9. So lake effect, you know, it shows you who's boss sometimes. You can get the location right, but even when you get the location right, it goes a little bit higher than what you expect. So, you know, not a terrible miss there, but a little bit overdone with the snowfall totals. So let's take a look at what's going on in the comment section, and then we'll take a quick look at the wind chills for tomorrow, take a quick look at the weekend, and then we'll get you out of here. So we can prepare for the newscast for tonight. Good to see a lot of our evening live stream loyalists. Do you think Delta College or Saginaw Valley will be closed? It's tough to say. Colleges are usually a little bit different. So I don't know. I really wish I had a better answer than that. But I would say if they're not canceled tonight, I think maybe you'll get that decision in the morning. And if you don't, they'll probably be open. I also wonder if the Friday class schedule has something to do with it, a little bit of a lighter day on campus. But I'm not terribly sure. I wish I had a better answer, Rachel. Yeah, Wendy, I think as a Midland worker, are you off tomorrow? I know Midland closed. Good evening, Craig. Hi, Christy, Linda, Sherry, Shelley. Shelley, no, not the coldest winter on record. Hi, Brooklyn. Hi, Amy. Not the coldest winter on record. In fact, last year, you might be surprised. Last year, before this year, kind of seemed like the worst winter we had in a while, and it didn't even register. Didn't even register in the top 10, top 20. It was actually pretty close to average. It just showed you how kind of spoiled we were the last several years. That it finally felt like a normal winter was extreme, and that's really not the case. So I could take a look at that in a minute. Let's take a look at some of the wind chill projections. I would think of this graphic right here maybe as more of a worst case scenario for a lot of areas, because I don't think we'll quite be in this range the entire time. But I think a lot of these locations could at least touch some of these values from time to time, that 25 to 30 below range. And I also think this at least has the trend right, even if the magnitude might be just a little too much. It's just the fact that we're not going to change much from the afternoon into the evening, and we're really not going to change much from the morning. And so that's why, again, you're talking about closures rather than delays, because there's really no chance, even if you get past those bus stops for a few hours, that we're going to get out of this range tomorrow. So I think we're pretty much stuck there. Again, I think the most common range is going to be something like 10 to 20 below or 15 to 25 below. And I think some of the numbers beyond 25 and colder are probably going to be a little bit more rare for most of us. Northern counties, maybe not. I think some of those areas could probably be a little bit more consistent with that, and that's why you're in the warning. But I will say, even though this might be just a little bit too much, this model's been pretty consistent on these numbers for the past several days. And so sometimes, we try to play some of these situations a little bit more conservatively. But occasionally when a model is consistent like this, it might be onto something. So we'll see how cold we get. At this point, we're splitting hairs as far as how low we're going to go. It's cold. It's going to be dangerously cold for some areas tomorrow. Now, is it to the point where you have to stay home, be locked inside? No, not necessarily. But if you are going to venture out Friday and Saturday morning, I do think you need to take care of yourself and, wear the proper clothing and those types of things. Don't be like me. If you've ever seen me at the grocery store, I'm not always dressed appropriately. Just one of those people who sweatshirt and shorts will do the job, but not tomorrow. Definitely not tomorrow or the next day. I'm sure there's probably some women out there who have a husband like me that snow blows the driveway in shorts or something like that. But tomorrow and Saturday morning are not those days. That is for sure. Karen, daughter works for Vassar Public Schools. They are off tomorrow. Brooklyn asked, are we going to continue to get snow? I would expect snow the next couple of days to be pretty light. Here's a look at Saturday morning, by the way. Saturday morning doesn't seem quite as harsh. We're going to keep that alert day going for now. But one thing that you'll notice that's different a little bit about Saturday is once we get to the afternoon, we actually improve quite a bit. So Saturday, obviously, we're not worried about schools, but if you're flexible in anything you were hoping to accomplish this weekend on Saturday, I think the afternoon is a little bit better. Hi, Connie. Yeah, Craig, the 70s always get brought up. I wasn't even a thought in the 70s, but everybody who talks about winter tells me about the 70s. So, Elizabeth, going to be brutal for people working outside? Absolutely. I know some of you probably joined for a quick look at the weekend and kind of what direction the weekend's headed. So this is obviously a big deal for much of the country, as we've got developing storm system that even the hurricane hunters, if you missed that post last night, the hurricane hunters were actually flying into this storm as it was out over the Pacific and trying to get the best information possible to plug into our weather models. And so this storm system, it's going to develop around the southwest United States. It's going to bring areas of sleet, freezing rain, heavy snow, and even thunderstorms to areas like Oklahoma and Texas. And then as it moves off to the central parts of the country, it is going to stay to our south through Saturday. And so even by 5 o'clock here, snow still well to the south of us in places like Missouri, southern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. But what I think we're watching for is just how far north on Sunday is this going to go. It starts to creep a little bit further north into areas like central Indiana and Ohio. And then we zoom in a little bit more into Sunday morning, starts to move up into, say, the I-94 corridor, which I think is pretty likely at this point. I think at the very least we see some snow close to the border of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. But if it keeps trekking to the north a little bit, we may have a chance, especially in these areas right here, like the Thumb, over to about Saginaw, and then extending to the southwest towards Shiawassee, Genesee, and Lapeer counties. Some of those areas might have a pretty decent shot to pick up some light snow out of this. Now, it's not going to be the worst of the storm system, but it's at least something. And so we might be a part of this a little bit. I haven't necessarily looked into amounts just yet, just because I want to see for sure that it's coming in this direction. And that's not just a new trend, but I think the fact that it's speaking to that northward shift today means something. So we do have a chance of snow in the 7-day. We did up our chances yesterday. We kept it steady today. But we have about a 40% chance for snow on Sunday. So about 40% of the area gets snow, which is, again, that Thumb region, the south, and some areas to the south and west. The rest of the region, maybe not so much. So if you're in a place like Mount Pleasant, perhaps, West Branch, those areas to the north and west, maybe you don't get much. But it's something we're certainly watching as we go through the weekend. There's still some discrepancies between weather models, between that system, just how far north is it going to go. But it does have our attention. It has our attention for the end of the weekend, and we're going to probably hone in on that a little bit more as we get into tomorrow. Once we get past tomorrow morning and we get some of this cold wind chill out of the way, then we can focus a little bit more on the weekend. But that's kind of where things stand for the time being. So again, if you're just joining us, I think this graphic summarizes it well. We do expect 10 to 20 degrees below zero to be common. Several school districts, I'm more shocked at districts that are open at this point, with wind chills as low as about 25 to 30 below at times. And then frostbite times at least about 30 minutes or less. And once you're starting to get to the bottom end of that range, 25 to 30 below, you're starting to talk about less than 10 minutes with frostbite. So the Weather Service issued their cold weather advisories. They issued the extreme cold warnings. And they're using terms like dangerous cold. So it's not just about those of us in TV trying to get ratings or anything like that. Your local National Weather Service offices share the same opinion that we do as far as this level of cold being dangerous. It's not cold if you're outside for 5 minutes, especially with the proper clothing on. Doesn't mean you can't go to the store, doesn't mean you can't go to the movie theater, but if you do, just be dressed appropriately on the way in case something happens. If you get stuck in traffic or anything like that, make sure your pets are inside. Make sure if you have any outdoor animals, maybe give them as much as you can. Straw, boxes, those types of things. So, again, that's kind of where things stand for tonight. So I'll take a look at the comments one more time, and we'll have more on I promise we'll have more on the weekend system tomorrow. But we'll check this out. Scott, are the winds dying down? I'll take you through the wind forecast, Scott, just so you have that. Let me pull that up really quick. Scott, you've had a a brutal run of weather in Kindy, that's for sure. Some of the blowing and drifting earlier this week and some of the snow. Here's some of the gusts at midnight, Scott. I don't anticipate they're really going to die down tonight, about 25 to 30. Pretty much kind of in that same range tomorrow from morning to afternoon. A little bit relaxed going into Saturday. But what I will tell you about Saturday is even though the wind dies down, the problem with Saturday is what we lose in wind, we gain with actual temperatures dropping off. And so we lose the stronger gusts on Saturday, but our actual temperatures drop further. And so it doesn't take as much wind to get us in the same temperature range Saturday morning. But again, we're going to warm up a little bit more Saturday afternoon, which is going to help get rid of some of those harsh wind chills during the second half of the day at least. So Saturday's not the whole day. Saturday's just part of it. And yes, Craig, we will be on tomorrow night. We'll go over, again, we'll have some really good data for that system over the weekend. And I think we could probably start exploring snowfall totals a little fairly as we keep kind of building that consensus. So have a good evening, everybody. Please stay warm. Take care of yourselves. Again, not the end of the world, but bitter cold, just like heat. If you're not careful, it can sneak up on you. So just do the things that you have to do, common sense, and look out for those who are a little bit more vulnerable, who don't have a place to go or might have a house that doesn't hold heat well. Those types of things. Just kind of keep those people and animals in your mind and help out where we can. So we will see you all tomorrow night. We'll talk about the weekend, and then Stone will take you through the weekend, and we'll have these nightly recaps return next week. We will see you then.